Shut up and sit down.
Howdy guys, it's Andy from Big Mac's Workshop Painting Studio and welcome back to the channel. Also saying hello to all you guys who've never been here before and just found us. So this is the dreaded Ambot from Necromunda. Well, kind of. This is the Ambot figure from Necromunda, and it's a great model. And what we're going to do is we're going to paint it up very industrialised. It's going to look like it's been cannibalised from multiple different vehicles, or variants of it anyway. So we're starting from the inside out this time. It's not always the way I paint things. It's just the way I fancy doing it this time round. As you can see, we're getting right on into the metal work, which is started off with black metal. This is scale 75 paint, which is slightly lighter than the Vallejo version. But as you can see, you get a real nice coverage on it, and it automatically adds a lot of depth. So from scale 75, now we're using decayed metal, working on some of the ports for the cable ports, vents, that sort of thing. Just add a bit more colour. You don't want a single metallic colour in there. You want to just break up the flat silvers and what have you, just to make it look a bit more interesting. So what we're doing now is getting some non-oil all over the inner sections, getting a bit of depth in there. Really going to start picking out the detail. This is going to set us well ahead in advance for future highlights. So, backing onto the black metal again, just starting to just tidy up any areas what I've taken a bit too much of the non-oil staining on, and it's also going to be an initial highlight for the metal work as well, it's provided you leave some of the darker shades behind. Okay, and now we're going to start working on the armour plates. Now, some of these armour plates aren't going to be the same colour as what we're starting off with, because like I said, we're going to be cannibalising it. Now this is Necromancer Cloak by Army Painter. Very similar to Eshin Grey, a real dark grey colour. And as always, all our paints are thinned down. We're going to get some nice, even, smooth coats on there, just to give us a bit of depth colour, something to work with, without leaving any thick lumps and what have you all over the model. So I want to do some yellow, throw some hazard stripes in some places as well. This is XV88 by GW. Using XV88 gives you a nice base coat for your yellows. Otherwise you wind up spending about 16 years just layering up the yellows, because you know as well as I do, yellows don't go over black particularly well, even the new the much stronger pigments what you get nowadays. So over V88 we're going with Filthy Brown by Vallejo. This has been a long time used colour by us. Got for the yellows, real nice strong pigment, and you do get a nice good finish, but it takes a lot of layers over when done by hand. You can do it a lot easier by the airbrush, but as you can see, all this is done by hand. And we're also going to paint in some black sections with the modelling tape. It's just any old black. I tend to use scale 75, but Abaddon black if that's what you've got. Doesn't really matter, as long as it's one you feel comfortable with. So back onto the yellows again. I'm going to start tidying up. We're using golden yellow at this point, which is a nice bright colour. After a handful of layers, you're going to get a real nice vibrant yellow. So once we've got a nice shade of yellow on there, we're going to start throwing in some detail. This is using Regal and Fresh Shade. This is a gloss version. As you can see, it's going to give you a nice depth of colour all over the yellow sections, and a non-oil is going all over the greys. Don't worry about getting any onto the metalworks underneath. We're just adding some depth onto the model at the minute. So after an hour or two waiting for the washes to dry. Find yourself something to do whilst you're waiting. Back onto the golden yellow again, and we're going to start really adding some colour to this yellow. Really make it more vibrant. I'm going to leave his right hand side just flat yellow, and I'm doing the hazard stripes on the left hand side. So now what I've done is I've added some pale yellow by Vallejo into the mixture, and this is going to start really making those colours pop, keeping some of the yellow darker shades towards the bottom and also towards the recessed areas, whilst this lighter colour is progressively getting taken up and up onto the tops, onto the highlight areas, really making those hard lines stand out in a real nice reflective way. So as you can see, it's getting progressively lighter now, and as this colour is getting lighter, we're using highlighting progressively small areas. Now we're almost line highlighting at this stage. We're still using a pale yellow mixed in. It's pretty much pure pale yellow. There's a touch of the golden in there, and we're just really starting to make those edges really vibrant, and as you can see, we just start to stand out ever so nicely. So adding a couple of more highlights now. As you can see, we've been using the Winsor & Newton double or treble zero for quite some time, and we've added some Mojave white into the pale yellow. I'm just going to start really focusing on them corners, right on the hot spots, and this is going to make the eye be drawn to the the highlight areas where the light would naturally hit. So going back onto the armour plates, and we're using the Necromancer cloak again. As I said, sort of an Eshin grey, maybe Skaven black dinge sort of colour. This is going to be used as a tidy up measure after the null oil's dried. So we're going to get rid of any splodginess, make a nice smooth coat, leaving some of the wash in there for shading purposes. So once we've got that layer down, we're going to add some ash grey, which is some kind of slightly lighter grey, probably along the lines of I forget what it's called, Dawnstone, something like that. And as you can see, really thin paint, and we're just starting to add some highlights into it, keeping the highlighting natural. So now I'm going to pick out a few random panels, scatter around the model. We're going to use some different colours now. I've chosen a Mediterranean blue by scale 75 for that knee, and I'm using Caliban green for a few panels elsewhere. And this is going to make it look like it's been botched together with a few random pieces of broken robot. Wherever it could be possible. Now you can take this as far as you want. You can make it really colourful, or you can leave it in a single colour. It's just something I decided to do, just trying to make it look a little bit cannibalised, a little bit industrial. And as you can see, it's just starting to break up the colour, that nice flat grey. So this is again the ash grey, and we're bringing up the highlights. As you can see, really focusing on the upper sections, trying to make your eye move towards the edges to really pick up those highlights. So now I'm adding even more lighter colours. This is a touch of Miskatonic grey in there, and I'm going to start bringing the highlights out along the most extreme edges. I do apologise for the camera work there. Allowing the hard lines to really start to pop. Now this has added a touch of ghost grey, and as you can see, we're just finalising those high points. Again, you can take this as high as you want. What does look good on these sort of vehicles is a bit of engine chipping, or a bit of some weathering powders, maybe, depending on the planet it's working on. I just went for grease. I felt that the inclusion of different armour panels was enough on there to break it up without having to add chipping to it as well. So I'm going to highlight some of the internal areas, and this is rust, and it's going onto the sockets. It's what can only be described as mandibles. You know, just highlighting up them, getting some of that decayed metal just warmed up a little bit. So once we move back onto the blues, and this is Amaranth blue, it's just going to start adding some nice highlights to any of the blue areas. It's going to look really vibrant against these dull greys, and really going to stand out nicely. It's just going to make the robot look a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, rather than just flat yellows and greys. So this is Hasta red. I'm just carefully painting the inside of the eye craters, or eye lenses, or whatever they're called, but I'm deliberately bringing some of the paint onto the outsides of the eyes and just sweeping it away with my finger, and what you're going to get is kind of an OSL sort of colour. And what we're going to do is add some Amaranth blue into the blues, and we're just starting to highlight up those nice vibrant blue colours and really make it stand out. We really want these to look interesting. So now we're using Vallejo's Gold. It's a nice gentle colour, so you can be fairly liberal with it. It's not a very strong pigment, so it really does highlight the darker golds up nicely. And then we're going to put another Reetland flesh shade into the golden sections, just to add the depth to it, what you'd expect to see. So as you can see, on the back I've painted some red. I'm also going to do the same on that weird shoulder panel thing. Again, I wanted them to look from as if it's from something else. Make it really sort of emphasise the reused sort of aspect of industrial life. So now I'm adding a touch of Sycorax, just as some edge highlights all over the inner metals, to brighten them up just a touch before we put in any further detail work. So back onto the reds now, and this is Mephiston red, and this is going all over any of the reds, using the same red on all of these sections. I'm just going to slowly brighten them up from the original red, which was Hasta red, along with the eyes. Again, it's just there to brighten things up a little bit. We don't want this vehicle looking really dull and all the same and very clean. Once the Mephiston red's dried, moving on up to Antares red by scale 75, and we're going to start adding some edges and really start making those red sections look a lot more colourful, adding a touch into the eyes as well. Again, allowing some of the paint just to drift into contact with the inner edges of the eye lenses. So I've added some Troll Slayer orange now. As you can see, we're just brightening those edges up, and just to make them look that nice, a little bit warmer. Really start to focus the highlight sections. A little bit of Lauren Forest onto some of the green sections. This is just going to what I've done is I've changed my mind about what colours to use. I wanted a bit more natural, sort of less vibrant green, so I'm just going to add a little bit of Lauren Forest onto any of the greens, and then just mix a touch of white in to highlight it. And there we go. That is a Necromunda / 40k Ambot, or Ambot, as it were. Put the oil wash on as always, and then also both before and after the oil wash, once it's had a gloss varnish, thrown some streak and grimes all over the place, and just lifted it up with a bit of artist grade thinners and a Q-tip and an old brush. And that just adds a little bit of grime and grease all over the model, and this is just going to make things look that much more interesting. As always, huge thank yous to you guys for watching this. We can't thank you enough, it really does help us out. Please hit like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check us out in the comments. We do read every message and we try to reply to them all. Anyway, as always, we've got some massive thank yous to make. Huge thank yous go to our Patreons, who are the Alt Boys, Matt, Ludwig Hofbauer, D-Wack, Mark, Dave, Tom, Spikerdude, Ben, and White Metal Games. Massive thank yous to you. Without you guys, we really couldn't do any of this at all. You really do help to keep the lights on. Also, huge thanks to Element Games and The Outpost. These are our affiliate links. The links are in the description box below. Where you can get your standard 15 to 25% discounts off all your 40k or other hobby needs as well. They're very much one-stop shops. Really cool guys, really friendly bunch, and really helpful. If you use our link in description, we get 5% store credit at no cost to you. And if you use it with Element Games, you'll also get double crystals. So you gain, we gain, and nobody loses. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this. I really hope you check us out again, and we'll see you in the future. Okay guys, bye bye.